Well, good afternoon, everyone. For those of you whom I haven't met yet, my name's Patty Reagan, and I have the privilege of serving as Director of the Department of Physician Assistant Studies. On behalf of the Elon University Department of Physician Assistant Studies faculty and staff, welcome to the Elon University PA Class of 2015 White Coat Ceremony. And I think that probably deserves a round of applause. I really didn't have that in there, but I can see this crowd's going to be enthusiastic, and I want to work it to the max. So not only are we celebrating the charter class White Coat Ceremony, Elon University is also commemorating its 125th year anniversary, so it's an exciting time to be part of the Elon family. In addition to the students who have been counting down the days until today, we are pleased to welcome family, friends, faculty, and staff as we gather to celebrate this special occasion. We are also honored to have Provost Stephen House and our wonderful colleagues from Graduate Admissions, Financial Planning, and the Registrar's Office, as without all of your support, we wouldn't be here celebrating this landmark today. I'd also be greatly remiss if I didn't acknowledge the incredible time, energy, and enthusiasm that Ms. Lynn Wentz has put in today. It's actually been a labor of love for her. The White Coat Ceremony marks the transition of the study of academic medicine to one of clinical practice. It reminds us that medicine is practiced most effectively when it's dispensed with compassion, humility, and the gift of healing. It also reminds us of the tradition of preparing those who come behind us for the care of patients, care of their families and communities, and care for themselves so that they can always be at their very best when it's most needed. It's a gift as well as a responsibility. Today's a time for our students to celebrate the accomplishment of successfully completing a very demanding academic year. Every class is special, but charter classes are particularly so. And this one knows they're special because we always tell them that. They've had to put one foot in front of the other, trust in us, trust in themselves, and often go on at times when it seems like they just couldn't face one more 8 a.m. lecture, exam, or yes, another evaluation. They haven't had the wisdom of a class who's already successfully navigated this path. As I look out on them today, I can't help but smile. That long-awaited day on the calendar for the White Coat Ceremony has arrived, and at least for this moment, I hope it makes the first part of the journey seem worthwhile. So we welcome all of you here today, knowing that each of you have played an important role in helping make this day possible for the Elon University PA Class of 2015. So let me go on and introduce our Dean. I'd like to introduce Dr. Elizabeth Rogers, who's the Dean of the School of Health Sciences. Dr. Rogers has had a long, distinguished career at Elon University. Yeah, she didn't know I was going to talk about her. You know how I am. And before, now she takes my chair. And before becoming Dean, served as the founding chair of the Department of Physical Therapy Education. Dean Rogers has been one of our most vocal supporters of the program since the question was first asked, should we have a PA program here at Elon University? Please join me in welcoming Dean Rogers.
So before I start, danger, lectern may be only moved by physical plant personnel. Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome on behalf of the Dean's Office in the School of Health Sciences to all attendees, to our class of 2015, our charter inaugural PA class, to the wonderful Department of Physician Assistant Studies, to family and friends, and they told me this was going to be a small event. This White Coat Ceremony is one more tradition that you, the inaugural class, gets to set the standard and to participate in for the very first time. As you know, the charter class embraces many new opportunities not afforded to future classes. You are the people that set the bar for so many things that are coming in the future, for future students, for our faculty, staff, and for things occurring at Elon University. I've watched you literally grow and change since January 9th of this year, when you began the journey to become a physician assistant. You've had the luxury of the undivided attention of this wonderful group up here on the first couple of rows. Also, you've experienced standardized patients coming from the Virginia School of Medicine. Those standardized patients are something really special. It's an inside joke. You'll ask them at the reception. You've also experienced real patients. Harvey, you've attended conferences. You've participated in the wonderful symposium that I'm sorry I missed relating to serving the underserved that occurred a couple of days ago. You volunteered to help to assist in anatomy courses or classes held in the donor lab with other health professionals where you've learned more about their profession and they learn more about your profession. You've enjoyed the Easter egg hunt that occurred in front of Francis Center. And then recently, I just happened to be in the PA area when the Grinch. Yes, the Grinch was there, along with a couple of other helpers. Today, I wish you very well as you prepare for your clinical rotations. The White Coat Ceremony is a symbol as you enter this new phase of your PA education. The white coat signifies that you're ready for your next phase, entering clinical practice. As you move forward, I highly encourage that you will keep 4 things in mind. And I hope you've done this during the last 12 months. That would be that you remember those that are supporting you, your significant others, your partners, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, your spouses, your family and friends that are supporting you in the department. I also encourage that you maintain your spiritual life, that you don't lose track of that because you are so busy. Also, your physical well-being, and earlier it was fun for me as I would walk on the treadmill at a very slow rate while some of your colleagues were running on the treadmill. And I don't think I have to encourage you to maintain your intellectual life, to keep that in focus. Do not let life go too far out of balance, even though at times it will get a little out of balance. I think we have to be real. But maintain your social support system, maintain your spiritual life, maintain your physical well-being, and also take care of your intellectual capabilities. Enjoy today, rest and gain energy over the break. Good luck during the next 15 months. And probably one of the next times that I'll get to formally address you will be commencement 2015, when you will be a part of a very new tradition for the School of Health Sciences. And you'll receive a sapling, a symbol of the great oak, the symbol of Elon. Go, class of 2015.
Thank you, Dean Rogers. It's now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Diane Armao. She's a faculty member at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill School of Medicine, and also serves as an adjunct assistant professor for the Elon University Physician Assistant Program. Dr. Armao received her medical degree from Thomas Jefferson University and subsequently completed a resident in surgical pathology at the University of New Mexico and a fellowship in neuropathology at UNC Chapel Hill. In addition to her work in the laboratory and in medical research and writing, Dr. Armao takes her role as an educator seriously. She believes that success in medicine, much like that in sports, requires a healthy attitude, endurance, and a positive perspective. Her impact on the Elon PA program students this summer left them with an impression that lasted well beyond her time in the classroom. They describe her as enthusiastic, passionate, caring, and just simply amazing. It's for that you weren't supposed to laugh at that part. It is for that reason she was selected by the students to provide the keynote address entitled, "Your White Coat is Your Canvas" for the inaugural White Coat Ceremony today. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Diane Armao.
And thank you so much, my students, for that hyperbole. I am honored to speak to you today on this momentous occasion of your White Coat Ceremony. I am deeply touched by your faith in me to do justice to the enduring love of your families, to the excellent teaching of your faculty, and to the outstanding achievements of every one of you. A little less than 1 year ago, we met for the first time. You were strangers to me. I had extensive teaching experience with medical students, residents, and fellows, yet no experience with physician assistant students. I was a foreigner to you. My vocabulary was largely incomprehensible. Further, what I loved, human neuroanatomy, most well-adjusted students feared. But, strangers though we were at first, we grew steadily to understand and learn from each other, and soon created our own special community, filled with you, me, Dr. Bennett, and the nervous system. Our neuroanatomy laboratory was like an art studio. You drove those sessions, not me. Your passion, your sense of wonder, your questions, your observations, your keen eye for the landscape of the body in health and disease. Last year, in a speech given to the graduating class of Harvard Medical School, Dr. Donald Berwick gave witness to the worries of near-to-be practicing physicians. Many Harvard medical students felt worried about the constant change around them and uncertain about the future of medicine. Dr. Berwick reflected their concerns in stating that he too was worried. He had gone to Washington to lead the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, full of hope. Instead, Dr. Berwick found much he could not control, a context torn apart by antagonisms, too many people in leadership willing to bend the truth and rewrite facts for their own convenience. Dr. Berwick laments that United States healthcare perpetuates enormous waste and defects in care that cause needlessly poor health outcomes for millions due to failure of coordination, hazards to patient safety, poor access, and underemphasis on prevention. Sometimes there exists an alarming blend of waste and potential harm to patients. Consider, for instance, that there are approximately 80 million CT scans performed in the United States each year. There is almost certainly a link between medical radiation and cancer. It is estimated that approximately 29,000 future cancers could be related to CT use in 2007. Yet, authoritative sources cite that up to 40% of CT scans are inappropriate, wasteful, excessive. Dr. Berwick is worried, and I am worried too. A few months before I began teaching at Elon, I lost my brother, Joe. Joe was a previously healthy, robust, former collegiate football player, environmental attorney, loving father, and husband living in the San Francisco Bay Area. Joe died in 4 months, more quickly than a patient with the most malignant brain tumor. Joe died from a rare and aggressive T-cell lymphoma. I am worried that for several months prior to his diagnosis, Joe was under the care of a dermatologist for a pruritic skin rash which did not respond to multiple therapies. When Joe presented again to her clinic with the acute appearance of several tumor-like nodules affecting his scalp and forehead, the dermatologist decided to do a biopsy. She interrupted the biopsy to take a phone call. When she came back into the exam room, she told Joe the phone call was from her plumber. She had a leak in her house. I am worried that this dermatology practice sent Joe's biopsy to a team of expert skin pathologists at UCSF and filled out the consultation request with just 4 words: tender, mobile, firm nodule. When in fact Joe had multiple lesions. There was no mention on the pre-referral history of several-month skin rash unresponsive to therapy, and no mention of lymphadenopathy because a physical exam was not done. Based on this inadequate history, the pathologist at UCSF rendered a diagnosis of a benign T-cell problem. I am worried about the lack of coordination of care and quality care that my brother received. I am worried that asking specialists to render a diagnosis based on an inadequate pre-referral history and evaluation is disrespectful of the specialist's time, wasteful of healthcare resources, and does a serious disservice to patients. 6 weeks later, Joe was diagnosed at Stanford University Medical Center with an extremely aggressive malignancy. I am increasingly worried about high-dose radiation Joe received 2 years prior to his cancer diagnosis. This radiation dose, corresponding roughly to 40 CTs of the abdomen, was delivered immediately following right hip replacement surgery to prevent the development of reactive bone changes. I am worried that in every clinic note of the orthopedic surgeon who ordered the radiation and every note of the radiation oncologist who delivered the radiation, there is not one word about the risk of cancer with medical radiation. The signed informed patient consent contained not one word about the risk of cancer from radiation therapy. In this setting, I am worried about the lack of provider awareness of the health risks of medical radiation and the lack of patient education, which ensures an informed choice. My brother received focused, high-dose radiation to the bone marrow of his femur, the home of young T-cells, malignant cells of which composed my brother's cancer. I am still very worried about that. So now you see, I had spent several years working in healthcare reform issues, but for the first time with my brother Joe, I felt our flawed system on a deep personal level. That is why, following the loss of Joe, my faith was broken. But on that first day, when I met you, felt your vital vigor, madness for learning, and listened to your careful questioning, a brightness came back into my life. You showed me what I love most in life, the art in life and medicine. Your palette will be your knowledge base. Your brush stroke will be your integrity as a healer. Principles of art can be easily applied to the practice of medicine. I can think of two. Number one, work the entire page. Never get so derivative, so close up, so myopic, so detailed in developing one tiny area of your drawing at the expense of all the other elements which surround it. No matter how much time you have spent rendering and shading and coloring this small area, no matter how perfect this small region may appear, it will change dramatically as soon as the other objects, figures, colors, and shapes begin to take form. In artwork, there is an overall unity which incorporates all elements equally from the beginning and moves and progresses in a simultaneous and balanced way if the finished work is to hold together as a meaningful final piece. Likewise, look at the whole patient, beyond his chief complaint, medical history, and physical examination. Look at his affect, his lifestyle, his family, his work. How have you had an effect on him? How has he had an effect on you? Number two, hold your work up to a mirror. This is one of my personal favorites, for it teaches you that you never really know your work. One of the most dependable outcomes of this exercise, of standing in front of a mirror and gazing at your work's reflection, is feeling shocked. Seeing this image, which you presumed you knew so well, reversed in the mirror, enables you to see it in an entirely new perspective. It is as if you begin to see in depth and inside. You will be shocked at shapes you did not know existed. You will be surprised that areas which looked so congruent, so fluent, now look asymmetric and disproportionate. But this is all a good thing, because it has shaken you out of complacency and what you assumed you knew, while back to the drawing board you go, reinvigorated with these new findings and excited to make the changes. Likewise, in medicine, challenge yourself. Dig deeper always. Did you just assume you knew the diagnosis without generating the differential diagnoses? How clear were you in explaining a concept to a patient? At the end of each clinic day, ask yourself those exit questions which Dr. Bennett put you in the fabulous habit of doing. Look up something in the medical literature you had questions about during a patient encounter. Share that paper, your insights, and your questions with your physician colleagues, or write the lead author. They will respond. I guarantee it. They will be grateful for your questions, and you will continue to learn. Think of your patient as your reflection in the mirror. Remember, as a contemporary writer-physician has said, all of us who attempt to heal the wounds of others will ourselves be wounded. In closing, the press of healthcare reform to solve our current crisis is palpable. We are traveling at high speed, clutching the steering wheel for a tighter purchase, more power, more control. The passing scenery is blurry with measures to fix the problems. Payment restructuring, population health, universal coverage, cost containment, price transparency, information technology. But will any of these measures address the failures that brought about the breakdown of healthcare to begin with? As healthcare providers, we need to stop and wonder why somehow the art of caring has been left behind. About the future, I am not worried. You will be the transformative piece in United States healthcare reform, one-on-one with your patient. When you shed light on some puzzle of nature, when you diligently tease out a cause, when you formulate a plan, you have made a composition. And if, in the bond you forge with your patient, you have painted a picture with sensitivity and compassion, you have created a work of art. You have made change visible. Always remember your white coat as your canvas. That's the end.
Thank you, Dr. Armao, for your words of wisdom. So we've now arrived at that exciting part of the ceremony where each of the students, oh, look at them get excited, is going to receive their white coats. We'd respectfully ask that everyone remain in their seats, and if you can, to hold your applause until everyone's received their coats and recited the PA oath. But I'll tell you what, if you got to applaud as they come up here, that's okay too, because we're pretty excited for them.
So as my departmental colleagues know, and Dr. Howes and the dean, we have to be teachers first. So in my hand is a file folder in case you have any final papers for me. Okay. Can the first group please stand? Okay. Seth Abel. Allison Alexander. Whitney Andrew. Corey Baglia. Jennifer Burnett. Laura Chompy. Lindsay Collins. Tessa Conti. Sarah Denon. Nicole Fajardo. Hannah Farish Williford. Lindsay Finch. Courtney Forcucci. Amanda Futrall. Emily Godfrey. Melissa Holmes. Daniel Jacobs. Brittany James. Allie Kelly. Jennifer Little. Veronica Mackay. Sinead McFarlane. Krista Meyer. Madeline Mavula. Carrie Norris. Katie O'Gara. Sahar Osman. Darcy Paulus. Miranda Poole. Matthew Rainbolt. Brittany Ramsey. Tyler Roper. Jamie Seals. Arzu Shikari. Jacqueline Stevens. Kimberly Trin. Caroline York.
If we could now have the class stand and face the front of the room, we're all going to recite the physician assistant professional oath together. You guys ready? All right. I pledge to perform the following duties with honesty and dedication. I will hold as my primary responsibility the health, safety, welfare, and dignity of all human beings. I will uphold the tenets of patient autonomy, beneficence, and non-maleficence, and justice. I will recognize and promote the value of diversity. I will treat equally all persons who seek my care. I will hold in confidence the information shared in the course of practicing medicine. I will assess my personal capabilities and limitations, striving always to improve my medical practice. I will actively seek to expand my knowledge and skills, keeping abreast of advances in medicine. I will work with other members of the healthcare team to provide compassionate and effective care of patients. I will use my knowledge and experience to contribute to an improved community. I will respect my professional relationship with the physician. Now, if you all want to turn and face your family and friends, we'll now recognize the class of 2015. Okay, you have to turn back around now. And if everyone will be seated, I'm going to welcome our class president and vice president to make a few remarks.
Good afternoon. My name is Amanda Futrell, and I have had the honor of being the vice president of the class of 2015. I'm going to take the time today to thank our very special professors, starting with Dr. Reagan. You are always someone we can rely on to take every holiday to heart. Whether it's dressing like the Easter Bunny, a life-size cat playing Ted Nugent, or Mr. Grinch. Your love for cats and infectious disease are both lovable and odd due to the high risk of toxoplasmosis. I also never knew one person could love Hello Kitty that much until I met you. But you know, we can think of no one we would rather have as our program director. Dr. Murfin, despite most of our hatred for studying pharmacology, one thing you always made us aware of was P450. However, most of us still aren't really sure what it means. And who can forget that beloved Halloween costume, along with playing Clue, Apples to Apples, and Jeopardy, all with pharmacology questions, which made it 10 times harder. And just for the record, I still think it was Miss Scarlett in the clinical skills lab with Paxil. And Dr. Quincy, where are you? There you are. Continuing our hatred of school subjects. Let's move on to evidence-based medicine, especially after yesterday. If there's a professor on staff that is guilty of loving one facet of medicine too much, it's you. Despite all of this, you are the one professor who joined our fantasy football league and shocking us all with drafting Aaron Rodgers as quarterback. We won't discuss your 2-11-1 record in the league. And Dr. Bennett, where to even begin? Oh, wait. Okay, so one time in OBGYN, who knew that everything in medicine, regardless of the topic, can relate back to babies? Well, you taught us that. I always knew going into anatomy lab would be an experience, especially a day where you explained to my classmates and I where the North Star is. Finally, all of us can rely on you for your constant maternal instincts and to have a shoulder to cry on, because that was frequently needed during the past year. And Professor Tonser, have you ever heard of an overprotective girlfriend that doesn't allow food, drink, or writing utensils around her boyfriend? Well, meet Professor Tonser and Harvey. You didn't know where I was going with that, did you? She even keeps him behind locked doors. However, without this relationship, we would have never learned those murmurs, rubs, and gallops, so thank you. And Professor Moore. From day one, we knew that your lectures were going to be constantly entertaining, keeping lectures interesting to say the least. We can all definitely say that you have a passion for what you do, and you make it known in every lecture and skills lab. And Dr. Duffy, from the first time you lectured, I realized that I was going to have to be caffeinated and use the standing desk in order not to be lulled to sleep by your soothing lecture voice, which is perfect in the field of pediatrics. And Professor McLam, from your very first lecture, we couldn't decide if you were either highly enthusiastic all the time or if you were highly overcaffeinated. And to this day, we're not really too sure. I dubbed the name Hummingbird for you during your very first lecture for this sole reason. We're really glad you were added to the faculty, especially since you are a fellow love of cardiology like myself, and since we are few and far between. Of course, I need to also extend a large thank you from my class to Professor Passanante and Dr. Smith for all your helps in the clinical skills lab. To Dr. Lamb and our plethora of guest lecturers this year, we thank you for your knowledge and guidance. To Ms. Skillman, we thank you for your constant words of encouragement right before our clinical skills practicals and SP exams. To Ms. Schrader for all of your behind-the-scenes work during our clinical year. A shout out to Jen Medlin for our opportunity for free lunches and scoping out the classes of 2016 and 2017. And finally, a big thank you to our Mother Wentz for, well, being the mother of the program. To all of our faculty and staff, the class of 2015 cannot thank you enough for all of your hard work and dedication to our program. Without you, we wouldn't be wearing these white coats today. Thank you.
All right, well, I get to follow that up, so my job's going to be a little difficult now. But I just want to first off say thank you for everyone for being here today. As most of you know, my name is Dan Jacobs, and I've had the privilege of being the class president. So when Dr. Reagan first asked Amanda and I if we wanted to say a few words at the ceremony today, I chuckled because, as my classmates are well aware, I never turn down a good opportunity to talk. So here we are today. The first people I want to thank today are our faculty. Each of you chose to be a part of this program, many of you changing careers altogether to be a part of it. Thank you for your patience, your dedication, and your hard work to get us to where we are today. Thank you for teaching us and for challenging us, but most of all for supporting us, because without you, there isn't an Elon PA. To my classmates, thank you for being my classmates. When I ran for president, I told you my goal was to make sure that all 37 of us walk across the stage at graduation. This isn't graduation quite yet, but it is definitely a milestone in our careers, and I'm proud that we're still 37 strong. We have all shown what we're capable of throughout this past year by supporting each other, mentoring others, and just like siblings, sometimes wanting to kill each other. but we have all survived the didactic year. Congratulations. Last, but certainly not least, to our friends and family, thank you the most of all. Thank you for lending us an ear when we needed to vent or a shoulder when we needed to cry. Thank you for always being there for us with your love and support throughout our entire lives and not just while we've been in PA school. In closing today, every person in this room holds a special place within us now, whether you are a faculty member, a classmate, a friend, or a family member. Thank you for taking time out of your busy lives to share in this event with us today. On behalf of our class, we are truly grateful for each of you. Before I step off the stage here, I just want to make one special announcement and send a special shout out to my grandma who is here with me today, and she celebrated her 92nd birthday this past Wednesday. Happy birthday, Mama. Dr. Reagan.
So congratulations to the class of 2015 for completing the first chapter of your PA education. All of us look forward to hearing wonderful things about you as you enter the realm of patient care in January. I leave you with one of my favorite quotes. When I stand at the end of my life, I would hope that I would not have a single bit of talent left and could say, I used everything I was given. I hope the same for each of you as you start your clinical rotations. Don't be afraid to be an advocate for your patients and make a difference in their lives. It's an exciting time to be part of the changing tapestry of healthcare, and you're going to be there leading the way. So this concludes our ceremony today. In just a moment, I will ask the class of 2015 to stand and file out to the hall entry where they're going to assemble for their white coat class photo. Once our caterers have finished their last-minute touches in the back, we'd invite our guests to enjoy the desserts and drinks located in the back of the room until the students will join you again in a few minutes. So let me ask the class of 2015 to stand, and let's give them a thunderous round of applause as they leave today.